I challenge you out there who are Zeitgeist acolytes, followers now, to please go look at this and say, how is all these other religions wrong? And there's no such thing as religion or spirituality, but then the thing's filled with religious connotations and Illuminati buzzwords. And the Illuminati Christ, who they said was the Christ. Jason BURMIS, welcome to the airwaves for your comments on this.
Well, thanks for having me, Alex. I came across the day after it came out. I downloaded it off the internet, and I sat down and I watched it, and I was very impressed with the editing quality in the first hour, covering the Federal Reserve banking cartel. It only got a few minor things wrong, which G. Edward Griffin goes into in his article. But then when it really transcended into this utopian-type society that is just, short of a, glorified version of Brave New World or 1984, I was very troubled by it. Like you said, it's unbelievable. I mean, he uses a lot of truth. For instance, those technologies that are in the film, they do exist. But why would our global masters ever give us free access to them, decentralizing their control? There's never really a solution given to that other than stop banking with them and stop joining the military.
Listen, here's the bottom line, BURMIS, and this is the point I forgot to make. I'll make it before I forget, and then have you carry on. Continue. That's the issue, is that he kept saying the global government's a bunch of idiots, they're falling apart, they're failing, they're nothing, global government isn't even the issue, we're going to have a good global governance. And then I say, well, that's going to take enforcers and systems. Oh, no, it's not. No, it's not. It's just going to happen. And I go, but you're repeating all the stuff I've heard before, and he would just sigh and basically say that, that wasn't the case, even though it was all the key Marxist, Leninist, New World Order buzzwords, which comes out of this whole theosophic system. It's only one brand of it. And, that was really the key to all of this, is the New World Order says they're setting up this utopia. It's identical. The UN says they're setting up what he's saying, and he's acting like they've just now invented it. And this engineer they're talking to has just now invented it, when this is the New World Order religion, repackaged as if it's New World Order, when there's no discussion about, he's like, you're dealing with all these little problems. And I'm like, no, we're fighting the fight. We're holding back the tide. It was all this disdainful Moses on the mountain, laughing at all the other religions when they are so highly religious. And they'll say, they're saying they're not even spiritual. They're saying it doesn't exist. It's science religion, but then that's what they're pushing, bringing forward the Christ of the UN official religion of the Theosophic Society. So, it's just so incredible to have it hanging right out there on the edge, and we're not even recognizing it when it's the elephant hidden right in the room, Jason BURMIS. The New World Order is claiming they're going to set up with this world socialist state what they are, again, in this film pushing. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. When you hear the words one world, one consciousness, well, that means that everybody's going to speak the same language. We're going to be under the same set of rules. It looks like we're all going to be wearing the same clothes according to this utopia. What is this? Is this the humanity that you want to bring your children up in? It certainly isn't what I want, and it is what these globalists want. However, he fails to recognize that when they want to bring this in, well, they want to cut the population down by about 80%.
Oh, no, their film talks about how there is overpopulation.
Yeah, it does, but again, it doesn't address.
Look, this is a classic introduction. They come in with all the anti-New World Order movement stuff, but which had been, basically generated the resistance by real Christians at its core. It comes in, assaults them to get the atheists behind it, and then brings it into religion in the next one, doing a double-think game, saying this isn't religion.
Yeah, and one of the things that I don't think you've touched upon enough is the fact that this is very earth-based. He really talks about
which is what the Theosophic, there's so many points. The Theosophic Society says the Earth's load in harmony with the Earth, because the Theosophics say we're worshiping the Earth spirit. Exactly. It's the same thing.
And then you find out, these high-level supposed Christian conservatives are really into the occult and pagan earth worship. And if you watch that first Zeitgeist film, the first part of that film is all about sun worship. Well, again, he fails to tell people that the people at the very, very top are into these type of ceremonies. You know, they're into this paganism, this sun worship.
But he does tell us. He does tell us in this clip. Play that first new clip from the day where the person makes a pyramid with their two hands together, and it shows the sun in it, while this person is in religious ecstasy. So again, all these religions are wrong, but we have a new one. It's not new. Here it is.
Reality. But the fact of the matter is, joy comes from that bliss of connectedness. That's our God spirit. That's that side of ourselves that really feels it. And you can feel it deep inside. It's this amazing, wonderful feeling. And you know it when you get it. You don't get it from money. You get it from connection.
So there you have the God spirit in all of us. And then if you say so, I'm going to get him back on and go, what is this about a God spirit? And he'll just say, you're a Christian. You can't even grasp it. It's science. Oh, man, we're in a lot of trouble.
Well, I agree with you, Alex. And, you know, thankfully I haven't really seen this at the top of the video charts. Obviously, there's a buzz around it. I just hope that a lot of newcomers to the movement don't look at this and take this for what we believe as a movement, because this is really unrealistic socialist garbage that's been pushed, like you said.
Well, I don't want to get into exactly. I don't want to get into what happened at 9/11 Truth in New York, but the main people in that, especially a Uranja official UN UFO cult, and they openly, you know, wanted, it was basically tying down the real investigation, and so things split off with We Are Change. But everywhere I look, these people are all around us now. They are moving in to take over this movement.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously the mores of the culture have differentiated for the past 20 years and gotten more and more and more extreme, and now people are, you know, willing to believe anything. I mean, look at that Raelian cult. I mean, it's unbelievable to me how, you know, masses can be swayed into these just New Age garbage-type religions
and
with no substance.
By the way, there's now the Z-Force, you know, 40,000 people in a week, he said. And the Z-Force is going to save us and re-educate us.
Oh, 40,000 people to re-educate us. Well, good luck, guys, because I don't think I need re-education. I don't think that we're just going to solve all of these quote-unquote social issues with humanity by offering solutions.
But did you hear him on the show yesterday? You said you were listening at home painting your house. He's on there, and I go, well, what happens if I'm in the future utopia system and I don't want to go along? He goes, well, you'll be reconditioned. You'll be re-educated.
Yeah, and he kept saying, well, you'll be given a choice. I mean, what's this choice? What are they going to put us on Australia, on some kind of island, to fend for ourselves? I mean, what are these choices we're going to be given? Are we going to be given the lobotomized chip instead of the regular chip that most of humanity can handle? I mean, what are the choices we're going to get? I was in awe. Well, by the
way, they talk about this technocracy of remote control cars and the government taking control, or the system that isn't a system, and that's exactly what the New World Order is building, this total control grid.
Yeah, it was a lot like Minority Report without the ads for advertisements.
No, they're just telling us it's going to be great, it's going to be wonderful, just like the Soviet Union. Do we have G. Edward Griffin? I bet we got time zones screwed up with him. Sea of Trade gave you the right number, because G. Edward Griffin wrote a review that's up on Infowars.com. Look, it doesn't matter. The American people, the people of the world, love being suckers, and they've woken up to one level of the paradigm. And then certainly that they've woken up to organized religion being another level of the paradigm, and the disgusting phony Christians and the phony Muslims and all that stuff. I'm not saying all the Muslims or all the Christians. I mean, you know, the establishment stuff. And so they're saying, oh, we don't want religion. But then it's the Theosophic Society with the World UN Christ in it. I mean, BURMIS, you can't make stuff up like this.
Yeah, and then he also tries to push the idea that, you know, evil doesn't exist, but abhorrent behavior does. Well, to me, abhorrent behavior is being down at a restaurant, you know, at a nice dinner with people and starting to pick your feet in front of people. That's abhorrent behavior.
Look, abhorrent behavior. BURMIS, this is what it is. Look, This is a psychological game where they say you aren't allowed to comment because you're part of a false religion. You're not allowed to comment because you're closed-minded. There's no such thing as evil. We will just, you know, re-educate everyone. Everyone's good. We'll just, you know, again, it's not allowing you to make choices. That's what the New World Order does. They're all about telling parents, don't give your children your values. Let them be themselves. Meanwhile, the state and the media and the schools are totally brainwashing them. They don't want you to put your imprint on them, because they want to put the new. Well, we have to decide then, do we like the new World Order system, which is really the old tyranny system, or do we like the more Renaissance system that we were under?
Well, I couldn't agree with you more, Alex, and I see that pushed more and more today among kids' youth, not only in
they're just saying we're not allowed to even have an opinion. It's just, we're the intellectuals, there's no North American Union, we're the intellectuals, there are WMDs, you're not allowed to comment, and it's the same thing. We're the intellectuals, you're not even, you're just a bunch of religious kooks. I would sit there and say to him, science shows that at least half of what we do is genetic, and I would bring up that certain breeds of, cow are more aggressive. And he just said, nope, that's not true. And he said, the science shows it. I said, what science? I've worked in this, and I'm giving him science, not Christianity. And he goes, no, that's your Christian view. It's just an excuse. Hey, I think 2 + 2 = 4. That's just your Christian view. Well, no, I'm not speaking as a Christian. I'm saying, why do you have the Christ leader of the UN with this global reincarnation Christ consciousness? That's all good in the God spirit, but then if I talk about genetic engineering or something, it doesn't exist because I'm not allowed to comment because I'm not a raised person like you.
Yeah, and he doesn't ever really talk about the double-edged sword of technology and how these things can be used to restrict, control, and enslave us, and are being used to do so. Again, everything's just there for us. Magically, everything's going to work. All the problems are going to be done. No one's going to have a job, apparently.
Well, I'll guarantee you this. You go down to New York, and you hang around outside the Theosophic Society offices, and you go to their meetings, and we need our people to do this. Join them if you have to. And we're going to probably see some people we've heard from before, but under other names. Okay? And Peter Joseph needs to tell us his real name. He needs to tell us his funding. Because and again, folks, I'm not saying we control this movement or we say what is going on. I try to be open to everybody. This is the opposite. I'm saying grow it, expand it, have free discussions and thought. I'm being told I'm backwards and bad, that I can't even question this or I'm bad. Again, religion doesn't exist. We're all kooks. Spirituality doesn't exist. But then they're all into spirituality, but it's only their spirituality. That's exactly what we get with Albert Pike and the rest of them. BURMIS, stay there. I've been ranting. I'm going to let you say whatever you want when we get back on any subject pertaining to this. I just, I let things creep up next to me. I'm so busy. I'm not omnipresent, as some people seem to think. I'm just a regular guy, and I've been ignoring this, not looking at it. And I opened the door up and looked at it, and I literally almost vomited the stench of New World Order that came flooding out. And my God, to realize how many people they've completely fooled. All right, we're going to get into taking over our local counties and cities the legal, lawful way, electing good sheriffs. We're also getting into the economy, all the news, huge things happening. Finishing up with Jason BURMIS, we're going to have G. Griffin with us for this segment and the next. Briefly, it's like a Jedi mind trick. It's like a marketing trick, a magician trick. You've got these theosophic UN world government people, and then they pose as if they're anti-New World Order. And then they openly push all these religious statements about the God consciousness, the God spirit in us, but then say all the religions are bad. That's what Albert Pike said they would do. And that's what blows me away, is I've ignored this long and didn't really look into it, and I scratched the surface, and it was unbelievable. Having the Christ, according to them, of the Theosophic Society, who they took around the world with them, this Jiddu Krishnamurti, in the film. This is off the charts. I want to bring G. Edward Griffin on and keep BURMIS on to comment. G. Edward Griffin, I know you're looking at this from a monetary angle, and with the silliness of it, and basically how it's a repeat of Karl Marx and withering away of the state. But I did some more research, and this thing is total UN. G. Edward Griffin?
Yes. Am I on the air now?
Yes, sir.
Oh, well, hello, Alex. How are you? Yes, I did look at this not from the theological perspective, because I felt that there were other people who were far more qualified than I to analyze it from that direction. And yes, I was looking at it from the point of view in which they were presenting the Federal Reserve System and attacking the Federal Reserve System, and particularly from the point of view of what they proposed as a solution to our problems. And I found that in this film, which was called Zeitgeist Addendum, There was a lot that was very good in the beginning, especially. A lot of critique of the Federal Reserve System. And I thought, boy, these guys are doing a good job. And then it began to fall apart. And they came into some silly stuff about the Fed never is able to create enough money to pay for the interest, and a few other myths like that are widespread. Well, I could even forgive that because, it doesn't make an awful lot of difference in the final analysis whether you believe that or not. But then they started getting into this business about, how are we going to solve all of this problem? And lo and behold, they had taken Marx and polished him up, taken out the word Marxism and communism, but they kept all of the essential concepts of perfecting mankind, getting rid of his greed, supposedly. They said that the whole problem of society was the profit motive and the free enterprise system, and those had
they implied the Federal Reserve is a free market thing, not a parasitic, rigged monopoly with the Federal Reserve funding the UN and theocracy and centralization of power and the new man.
Well, yes, that's it, of course. It's one of the greatest myths of the modern age that we live in a free enterprise capitalist system. That was gone decades ago, but yet it still lives on in name. And so all of the Marxists and neo-Marxists love to say, see what's happening today? That's a result of capitalism. We must replace capitalism with socialism or some other form of collectivism. And so they created a boogeyman that doesn't even exist. And people fall for it. It's real easy to fall for it because, I was told when I was a kid that we lived in a free enterprise system. That probably was true when I was a kid, but it's not true anymore. The problems we have today are not a result of free enterprise, competitive capitalism, as a result of collectivism, socialism.
All right, stay there. We're going to break for 1 minute and come back with 5 more minutes with G. Edward Griffin and to get Jason BURMIS' comment on this. But Zeitgeist Addendum, a critical review, we have a link to it up on Infowars.com by G. Edward Griffin. And what really concerns me is I mildly criticized it without even really doing super deep research, just on the basics, and a cult-like attack of, I'm just an idiot Christian, I can't even comment on it, there's no such thing as religion, when I wasn't even bringing religion up. So I said, I better look at the religious angle, and it turns out this is total New World Order religion.
Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Look, the hottest thing in the world right now is the alternative media and the fight against the New World Order. It's growing exponentially. And the New World Order, through its minions, through its dupes, through its useful idiots, are going to try to make a move into the movement. And there's a unified thing. People attacking this show, it turns out, are occultist or are friendly towards it. And, this is a news program. I'm covering news and information. And so they just bring it up like, oh, he's a Christian, it's all bull. By the way, we have the answer. It's the withering away of the state, eradicating the class system, on and on and on. And then yesterday I said, well, what will happen if somebody doesn't want to go along with this system? And the creator of Zeitgeist Addendum said, well, you'll have to be conditioned. You'll have to be re-educated. Folks, for those that know history and study, like myself and Mr. Griffin and others, we've seen all this a million times. This is repackaged. And in closing, I want to bring up BURMIS for any comments he's got. But G. Edward Griffin, I want to have you back on later to not just get into this, but how the whole liberty movement itself, I'm sure you've noticed it everywhere, has these people coming into it and saying, well, the New World Order isn't the problem. We need a good New World Order of the people, denying how society operates. G. Edward Griffin.
Yes, we are right on target, I think, Alex. That's one of the most brilliant qualities of these New World Order people is that they understand human nature, and they know that there's going to be a tremendous backlash against what they're trying to do. So they never just wait for that to happen. They send their people into the field and say, look, if there's going to be a backlash, let's lead it ourselves, or let's be influential in it so that we can control it and make sure that it doesn't go anywhere. This has happened over and over again throughout history, and you can see it coming up now, of course. I think you're absolutely right in your observation of that.
Well, there's no doubt that this, I mean, you've seen it. This is grade A, recycled, Fabian socialist, H.G. Wells. I mean, it's word for word what we have seen from the Theosophic Society and others. And God help us, because this is widespread right now, ladies and gentlemen. Alice Bailey, the externalization of the hierarchy. Let's bring in Jason BURMIS briefly to finish up on more comments you've got, Jason.
Somebody offers global governance or a New World Order type scenario, no matter how utopic it may sound, for any problem, whether it be the Federal Reserve or 9/11, such as an international tribunal and the end of America, you have to be very suspect of that person off the get-go, and you have to be very critical of their thinking, because what these people want at the top is more consolidation of power. It's about power.
They always consolidate for the greater good and claim it's going to be utopia. I mean, we've heard this over and over again. All these young people don't know about the history, and they better look into it. I mean, again, how can you have the leader, the Christ of the UN Theosophic Society, the official UN religion, in the film, and then they tell us, oh, you can't even argue about political systems, you're the old order, you're Christians, and we're not even bringing Christianity up. I mean, that is always a red flag. I mean, is that not, G. Edward Griffin?
Yes, it is. Well, it's not just Christianity. Any organized religious or powerful religious group is anathema to the New World Order people, because they're collectivists and they want complete loyalty and dependence upon the state. The state is the new religion. And,
which is what they say, the new scientific state, where they're going to scientifically control us, and they claim the New World Order currently isn't doing that. Of course they're setting up a scientific dictatorship.
Yeah, and then that's always been the goal of collectivism. And they like to use the word science because that sounds so advanced, so modern, so intelligent, you know. But actually there's no science to it at all, unless it's the science of human engineering, thought control. That's where the science comes in.
And then they have the nerve to claim that's not a centralized system. Centralization is the problem. True diversity is the answer. I wanted to finish up now with Jason BURMIS on Zeitgeist Addendum. In closing, Jason, just everything about it is bad. They mix in that the Federal Reserve's bad, but then they say they have a New World Order that's going to be great. It's total Theosophic Society, the UN religion, the UN Christ is in it. They're talking about the God spirit in us, and then telling us that we're just religious. Well, we're not even talking about religion, because they are religiously obsessed with this new man. This is straight up Albert Pike. And we need to expose this, because this is aggressive towards us. I've noticed the whole movement is aggressive, but then always acts like if you criticize it, that you don't even count. You're just an intellectual idiot. Shut up. So just classic New World Order tactics. Jason BURMIS?
Yeah, and they also discuss how every civilization before the one that is created won't even be in the history books. It'll be pretty much eviscerated, and they'll just talk about how there were big land grabs and people took stuff from other people. Well, that's pretty horrifying to me. I'd like to think that the story of the human spirit is going to live on for generations to come, especially after we defeat these globalists, Alex.
Well, absolutely. Everything is a process, and anybody that tells you that, there's this utopia and the withering away of the state and we're going to re-educate people, look out. And I just, the public, a lot of people are being suckered by this, but I'm going to have to counter it. And then they never counter me on any of my facts, like, well, why is this guy, the UN Christ? I mean, why are they talking about God spirit? I'm not even bringing up religious systems. You are. And they just, say, shut up. You're not even allowed to comment. I mean, I just go back to that, or they say, you're just jealous of it. No, I've never even really watched it until now. I'm not paying attention. I have everybody on to build everybody up. I mean, they try every intellectual dishonest trick, the people that are trying to counter us, when I'm just saying, hey, man, this is the New World Order group. This is the Theosophic group. I mean, they have the Christ of the Theosophic group in their film. That's what they're saying. This has always been that New World Order technocratic religion. Where they set up communism and then dangle pictures of high-tech cities in front of you. I mean, that's the old trick 100 years ago. And they're doing the same trick again, and I'm just going, I'm going, my God, I know history. I've seen this a million times. They're like, no, it's new. It's revolutionary. You can't even grasp it. And, man is, going to quit wanting his neighbor's wife, and people aren't going to want bigger or better houses. I said, well, can I have a house in this future system? And he goes, you will have a place where you can go to for privacy. Well, will I be able to have a gun? Well, I don't see why you're going to need a gun. There's going to be all this great peace. And then we'll have everything will be according to the load of the earth. Well, who's going to decide that? And that's all the theosophic system. Man, I tell you, BURMIS, this is amazing.
Yeah, I was very wary with the original release of Zeitgeist. I thought it was, well-produced, excellently done. I had a lot of questions. I actually interviewed Peter Joseph probably 2.5 years ago. And, looking back on it, if you check it out on YouTube, when I asked him, well, how do you feel about people interpreting this as kind of new agey and futuristic and kind of one-worldy, he got very defensive on that. And he was like, well, what's wrong with that? And, I countered it by saying, well, a lot of the proponents of that don't seem to have this great utopian vision for the common man. It seems like that utopian vision is for the upper echelon, while the rest of us are pretty much drugged and enslaved, Alex. I mean...
No, that's the key, what you just hit on. This Zeitgeist Illuminati view is for the general slaves. You won't work anymore. It's going to be heavenly. The machines will run it all. That's always what they've put out for the general public the last 150 years. But for the elite and their real UN policy documents and the Theosophic Society, it's exterminating the majority of us. And Alice Bailey, and then after that, Barbara Marx Hubbard, saying, we're the pale horse death. We're going to slaughter the majority of people. Every Christian must be killed because their backward system keeps the consciousness from rising and keeps. And so I'm like having him on, with a secular show going, well, what about this and that? Oh, you're Christianity. Well, I'm not talking about Christianity. Christians, and other religious people. It's all made up. It's not science. Meanwhile, did you hear about the Theosophic Society, Christ, and the wonderfulness that's coming? And I'm like, this is cult land. That's what this is.
Yeah, and I got to say, Alex, like you stated before, I'm not the most religious guy out there, but you have to give some kind of credence to religion when the upper echelon are out there doing pagan rituals in the woods of California in Sonoma for 2 weeks out of the year.
But more than that, the locals protested me in a bunch of newspapers and the Sonoma Free Press and the rest of it because I covered the rituals. They got real mad about that, and then we showed up and they were doing rituals. The point is, they always claim they're atheists. That's their cover to discredit the existing system because they have to get rid of the old before they bring in the new that is really the ancient.
I'm with you, Alex, and thank God for people like yourself that continue to expose this system. And I do what I can. I was on a radio show this morning talking about one world government, the new world order, the election. But yeah, this Zeitgeist Addendum, I'm hoping it won't take off as big as Zeitgeist. We are giving it a lot of press, but that's because a lot of people are coming to us with this stuff. We're getting emails.
Well, here's the deal. Exactly. People said, hey, what do you think of this? And I went and watched it. You told me you were worried about it. And I went and said, man, this I've seen this 100 times. This is pure New World Order. This is their highest level system. This is what they push always for over 100 years. And then I got the guy on, and he just kind of dissed me when I talked about genetics having a big effect, on any point, or on certain breeds of cow being more aggressive. He said, no, they're not. And I'm like, and he was science. You don't have science. And I'm like, I'm talking about science here. No, that's not, what they're doing is religious. What they're doing is a religion. It's the religion of the one world Christ world government state. Jason BURMIS, thanks for being on with us.
Thanks, Alex.
You bet. Yeah, I mentioned this a few weeks ago because I saw it and was kind of worried about it. But then I thought, oh, these are good guys. They just mean well, kind of new agey. And then I researched it more, and I was like, whoa, this is the top echelon stuff. This is the world Christ. This is the world government. And man, now I'm like, whoa. This is serious, because I should have countered this years ago. But I tried to play nice. Well, see, they don't want to play nice, folks. It's all about how they're high up and you're low down. It's a mind trick. When really it's a bunch of bull they're putting out.